So this is the 2015 Boxster Spyder. It has a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated Boxster engine combined with a 6-speed manual. Believe me, it doesn't get any better than this. Just even the little details you get with the car, such like the Spyder plaque on the side of the car, and also the more aggressively designed rear end. And that aggressive back end combined with the lovely ducktail spoiler on the back of the Boxster Spyder is, I think, a really aggressive looking car you have. Even the way they integrated the braking lights with the rear end is like, oh, it's just unbelievable. For me, this car is a GT4 without the roof, if that makes sense. You can't keep away from the fact that this car does share some bits with the Cayman GT4, such like the front bumper, the little grille in the hood. The only thing this car doesn't have from the GT4 is the massive rear spoiler. But I think like a rear spoiler with a convertible, that wouldn't quite work, would it? Also, the color from the wheels combined with the silver color on this car makes like a really great color choice, I think. I just love the way these sport design wing mirrors look. It's just way too cool. If we then go ahead and open the car up, you can see that this car has a fully red interior, which is quite a unique choice, I'd say, but it does match with the silver color and the darker wheels, if I'm honest. So not only are the door panels finished in Alcantara, but also the center of the seats are finished in Alcantara, which is really cool, I think, to look at. So I'd say we jump right in and touch upon the interior. So just like it's supposed to in a more hardcore Porsche, you pull the straps and you're in.
That's what she said?
So the first thing that I noticed is that this owner has gone with the Burmester sound system, which is quite a good choice, I'd say. The only thing he hasn't got is the Alcantara steering wheel, but it's not a big problem to deal with, I think. Also, what I noticed is that these seats are actually really comfortable to sit in. You know, you wouldn't expect that from the most hardcore bucket seats for a Porsche, apart from the 918 bucket seats then, of course. So of course, like in every other Porsche, here you have your rev counter, here you have your speedometer, and here you have your fuel consumption and also your engine temperature, but I think you need to scroll between the different screens on this, but I'm not sure how to do that. So with the Boxster and the Cayman, it's like a little bit of another design in the dashboard. So normally in the 911 this clock from the Sport Chrono package is up here, but you know, they need to do something different in the interior of this car, so I think they decided to do this different, because all of this is like exactly the same like in the 911. So, and also normally the hazards and the buttons to lock the whole car up are located right here in a 911. And as you can see, there's also a nice Spyder logo in the center console. So of course here you have your infotainment system and your navi in this area of the interior. And if you then move further on, of course you have the reason why I love this car so much, the 6-speed manual gearbox, which is phenomenal. And then you have the Sport button, then you have the Sport Plus button, which comes with the Sport Chrono package, and then you have the traction control off button, which is a really important button, at least for me, I think. And then you have the button to, I think, raise a spoiler, but I'm not really sure of it, because like there is no thing such like a spoiler in this car, because it has like a little ducktail at the back. And then you have the all-important exhaust button. So now if you're going to start the car up, it's going to be in the loud exhaust mode, which is quite funny, I think. So these two buttons you normally don't get in a coupe. So this button is to open the rooftop up, and this button is to close the rooftop back up. If I can, I'll show you later on, but I'm not sure of that. And in this car they've not gone with the embroidered Porsche logo in the like center storage, but I don't think that's a massive problem to deal with, because honestly you don't really look that much up to your center storage. So anyway, oh, by the way, you can store a phone or maybe 2 phones max in here, and there's also a 12-volt charger in there. So the only thing that I would expect differently in this car are, instead of these silver accents in the interior of the car, the carbon accents, because I think it's kind of a must in a more hardcore Porsche, but up in this point it hasn't annoyed me, so I think if I'd own this car it wouldn't annoy me either. But anyway, and here you have your window controls for your both windows, and here you have your wing mirror controls for obviously both mirrors. And then of course you have the buttons to set up the wing mirrors in the position you want them to be. And of course your light controls. I'll turn them on for a second. See, that's really cool. So the lights actually get in a certain position when you turn them on. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but in real life it's really cool. So also under here, this little light under the light controls, you have your parking brake. So not many people know this about the Caymans and the 911s, but it's actually under here. So, and something I've forgotten to touch upon is this little storage. So you have your cigarette lighter and a little storage to store some coins or whatever. The only thing that makes for a bad contrast in the interior of this car is, I think, the Guards red seat belts, because honestly, why choose for Guards red seat belts if the interior color is like another sort of red? And you also get a really nice Spyder logo embroidered in the headrests. And here you have a little glove box to store some documents from the car. And here you have the cup holders from Porsche, which are really nice, I think. Like, it's so handy in these cars. So if we then jump back out of the car, you pull this strap. The only problem I'd say you have with these bucket seats is jumping out of them. I almost fell on the ground when I tried to get out, but anyway. And also what I forgot to touch up on is that you have carbon on the back of the seats, which is really cool. And a nice little leather strap to pull them forward. So if we close that door back up, we'll take a look at the boot space, which is always interesting in this car, I think. So to do that, you press this button that says the front trunk, obviously. And then you pull a little lever that's right here, and the front trunk is open. So you could easily fit a suitcase or 2 in there, which is okay for this kind of car. So to close it, you just let it fall and then press the Porsche logo. So in this car they've gone for the contrast stitching, which is in the exact same color as the interior color. So it kind of blends away in the interior, but I think if you would have gone for black contrast stitching, it would like pop out, and that's not what you want in this car, I think. So you also have a little Spyder logo in the side steps, and then here you have the 2 buttons to open the front trunk and the rear engine bay. And what's also really cool about these cars is that you have an extra storage in the door sills, which is quite handy, I'd say. For example, in the summer, if you want to store some sunglasses, that's possible by opening this little storage in the door. So what's also really cool in this car is the position of the blinkers outside. So I'll just put them on for a second. So I think from this angle, like the blinkers and the whole design of this bit of the car, it has like a little GT3 thing. Like, don't blame me if you don't think so, but really from this specific angle, it has some looks from the GT3. And then of course, what I thought was so cool about the blinkers is at the back. So look how nice this is at the back. Like, the blinkers kind of pop out, if you can see it. Like, it blends away in the ducktail spoiler, which is a really nice design feature. The only disappointing thing with the blinkers is that they have kind of an old design in the headlights, but apart from that, like, from a far distance you don't notice it, but if you look closely, you can really see that They are quite dated, but anyway. So let's now touch upon the quite more technical bits about this car. And first off, as I already said on the beginning of this video, this car has a naturally aspirated 3.8 Boxster engine, and it has a 6-speed manual, which is just, I think the driving experience does it times 10 with the manual gearbox in this car. So it's really smart from Porsche. They fitted this car as standard, and you can't get a PDK in the Boxster Spyder. Of course, this car is a rear wheel drive, so it does 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, and its top speed is 290 kilometers an hour, which is more than fast enough for this type of car, I think. And oh yeah, this car has the exact same engine as in the GT4, as you all know, but it has 10 horsepower less. But honestly, you can get those 10 horsepower easily back with a ECU tune or whatever. So I'd first of all like to thank Carrera Motors in Sint-martens-latem for providing me with this car, and I'd say until the next one.